Be cool, be kind, be classy. The cupcakes are sweet and sexy. Have fun, enjoy the journey. Just have a good attorney. No big whoop, no biggie. She lives near New York City. And not just a YouTube show. When you know, you better grab a straw. Learn about the law. It's cool here in the shade, sipping motions and lemonade. Cool heads will prevail, kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Oh, Melanie Little is going live. Oh no, where is Melanie? Follow the island's melody. Is a concert within reach. No surprise, she's at Jones Beach. She heard some music far away. Captain Jack Stack Harbor Bay. He sings and his piano plays. Not all sounds are waterways. Speaking Yiddish and Latin, it's not just for Manhattan. It's for Goethe and Machegas. Ridiculous that insanus. Oy vey, Marcus. Proceed, that's for schmucks. Be cool, be kind, be classy. My cupcakes are sweet and sassy. And not just a YouTube show. When you know. Cool heads will prevail. Kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Melanie Little is going live.
Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday, my friends. And thanks so much for coming to hang out with me for part of the day today. If you didn't get a notification, that's because I didn't set one. I just decided to go live when I could shoehorn this in this weekend. It's a busy weekend. Today's homecoming at Colorado. So Sco Buffs. See some Buffs emojis in the chats. In the chat, I really wanted to get there this year again, but I did not. And so I'm here with you. We're still going to have fun anyway. Sco Buffs. Buffs play Arizona tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. Happy November. I mean, October was kind of fast, right? It kind of just flew right by. I hope everyone had a nice Halloween. If you choose to celebrate. And you have little ones that still go trick-or-treating. Isn't that fun? Isn't it fun? Happy Saturday. It's game day. It's college football Saturday. I love college football. More than the pros. I love college football, as you know. And interesting stuff happening today. Interesting stuff. No, it's not. So Mark did not go to University of Arizona. I'll allow it says do you and Bettero have a friendly bet going tonight? Bet going tonight. He is Mark is an alum of ASU, and that game is November 22nd. And we thought we would go there for the game to Boulder because he's never been to Boulder. But the situation is it's the Saturday before Thanksgiving, and so airfares are crazy. My daughter's already going to be home, so it doesn't make any sense. But maybe next year we'll go to the CU ASU game. So just to clarify, Mark Bettero is a Sun Devil. ASU, not University of Arizona. Why are we here? Do we need a reason to be here? B's mom is like, why are we here? I don't know, because I felt like going live. Is that a good enough reason? It's November 1st. It's Saturday. It's, when I felt like coming on, so I came on. I wasn't able to get here yesterday, so, talk about whatever we want. Except, the breaking news right now, according to Microdots, and I do trust Richie and Microdots. Richie says, 1 hour ago, he posted this. Lots of people from Canton are saying that Sergeant Shawn Goode has been suspended with pay for something found in the Proctor texts. The question is this his ultimate punishment or just his status pending further action? The latter would be gooder. So there's that news. 1 hour ago, it's already happening, says Jenna Leah. It's already happening with pay. Well, there are certain administrative procedures, Kirsty Nursey, that they have to go through before they can suspend without pay. It's an administrative thing. It's a thing. They got to go through certain hoops and things. Sergeant Goodbye. I'll allow it. Not that, Susan. I'll allow it. Sergeant Goodbye. Let's take a look because I wanted to refresh my recollection too about what it was that Sergeant Goode testified about. Well, let's see. And this is going back to 2024 during trial 1. But I mean, what could it have been that would get him suspended without pay? Well, I'm going back to an article from Boston 10 from May 7th of 2024. Wow. Doesn't it seem like a lifetime ago? It seems like a lifetime ago. Remember, Sergeant Goode was one of the first on scene at 34 Fairview. He's a Canton police officer. He completed his testimony during the first trial before Lank testified and Charles Ray testified. Remind me, did Sergeant Goode testify in trial number 2? I don't think he did. Proctor is telling them everything. Well, Proctor's phone is telling them everything, that's for sure. Look at On Top coming in hot with 2 super stickers. Always on top of the super stickers. Thank you, On Top. You're amazing. Such a kind and generous contributor to the channel. And look, here's Holly Johnson. Been here for 8 months. And she's like, thanks for delivering non-drama updates. I've been unplugged for like yesterday anyway. And I don't even know what had happened. I don't even know if there's drama. I don't know about it. And I don't want to know about it. John says, rejoice, for today is the anniversary, the first fall of the Dark Lord to the boy who lived. Thank you. Thank you very much for your 5. Mike Dorado says, this is why I love you, dear. I just got home after my 12 straight 70-hour work week. You've been working 70 hours a week, Mike? I'm so happy. I'm going to lay down, eat, and listen. Oh, maybe I could put on my best ASMR voice for you. So you can nap, Mike Dorado. We love you. Thank you for your 5. Terry Sue says Proctor is telling them everything. Proctor's telling them everything. I'm here for it. I'm here for every minute. This is going to be the gift that keeps on giving for the next however long, 10 years. I don't know. Remember how long it took them to arrest Donna Adelson? Thank you, Pila's mom, for your super sticker. And Mama She. Mama She says, with her $25 cash app, she says, don't forget to turn back time. Luckily, all of our devices do it for us nowadays, right? Thank you, Mama She. You're awesome. And also, we gain an hour tonight, right? That's amazing. So we gain an hour. Spring ahead, fall back. Clocks go back an hour, I think at 2 a.m., at least here on the East Coast. And I wonder if you work, so like Mike Dorado, right? You just said you worked however many 70-hour weeks in a row. On a day like tonight, when the clock could go back an hour, do you lose an hour pay or do you gain an hour's pay? And if you're working like midnight to 8, does that mean you're really working 9 hours instead of 8? I have so many questions. Yeah, the stove and the microwave don't do it automatically. Neither do your watches or any digital clocks you may have. But yes, we gain an hour. And I remember when my kids were little, at one point I had 3 kids under 3. This day was the longest day of the year. That extra hour is a killer when you're chasing toddlers around and the babies don't know. The babies don't know. They just, instead they're going to be waking up an hour earlier. Amy works an extra hour tonight. Hold on. So going back to this article on Boston 10, and this article was published May 7th, 2024. Shannon says, it's so hard on toddlers, or is it worse on the parents? I think it's worse on the parents. You dread it. It's the longest day of the year, right? The longest day of the year. All right. So here's what it said on that day. Sergeant Goode finishes his testimony. Sergeant Goode returned to the stand Tuesday after describing his part in the investigation during the proceeds on Monday. So first, let's go back to the Monday article, and we'll see what he testified to, just in the summary of it all. Oh, that was right around the time, too, that Katie McLaughlin was accused of perjury, saying she didn't know. She went to high school with a girl named Caitlin Albert. And that's when wasn't it Goode? It was Goode who shot home and shot back to go get the leaf blower. Because Sergeant Gallagher said, you got a leaf blower in your garage. Can you shoot home, shoot back? He shot home, he shot back because he lived right nearby, even though Canton PD was only like a mile away. Yeah. Now it's all coming back to me now. Alan Jackson. So I guess Gallagher testified right before Lang. Okay. I mean, right after Gallagher testified right before Goode. Okay. So let's go back. Come with me, if you will, all the way back to May of 2024, trial number 1, season 1 of the persecution of Karen Read. Let's take a look at this article so we can refresh our recollection as to what exactly it was that Goode testified to. And he was a good old boy, right? He was a good old boy. He was a friendly, wasn't he? Pretty sure he was a friendly. So once again, this article goes back to May of 2024. Sergeant Gallagher testified that they found the cocktail glass after they used the leaf blower to blow away some layers of snow. And I just wanted to read this portion of it to you. Jackson asked Gallagher if he made any sort of diagram showing where the cocktail glass or blood evidence were discovered at the scene. Gallagher said he did not. We don't typically exercise that in our investigative unit, he said. Jackson pointed out that where the glass and the blood were found were estimates or guesses since no measurements were taken. Gallagher also said he had never processed a crime scene in the snow until this one. Man. He said that this was the first time he had used a leaf blower at a crime scene. He also confirmed that the cups used to collect the blood evidence were red Solo cups provided by a member of the Canton Police Department who lived near the scene. Tom Kelleher, deputy chief or acting chief of Canton PD, who lived right across the street from 34 Fairview, who never came out of his house either to help his guys, but he gave them the Solo cups. And then when asked if his ring camera footage that pointed directly in the area where John O'Keefe's body was found showed anything, he was just like, yeah, I looked at it. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. We improvised, he said. Oh, yeah. And remember when they did the audit of the Canton PD and they thought it was really innovative? The audit company thought it was real innovative that they used those Solo cups and the leaf blower. And I remember Ed Wallace horrified saying, so they're using a leaf blower that's blowing gas and contaminating the evidence that they're trying to find? What? I'm sorry, what? So what you're saying is he processed more crime scenes in the snow that you processed more crime scenes in train stations than a regular police department did. Yeah, whatever it is you're trying to say, I agree with you. I'm sorry, Gallagher. What?
Hello.
Hello. Hello, I'm here.
Jackson also asked Gallagher if he found a shoe or any pieces of broken taillight at the scene, evidence that was reportedly found at the scene later by investigators. Gallagher said he did not. No, they only found those bright red taillight pieces in this, 12 hours later or something like that, in the dark, after the scene was left unsecured for, I don't know, almost 12 hours, right? Or 10, at least 10 hours. LawTube's most hated mod says, I processed more crime scenes in the snow at an outdoor train stations than Canton PD. That is correct. Transit. Right. Exactly. Yes. The defense attorney also displayed, Jackson did, pictures of Reed's SUV focusing in on a dirty rag shown on the floor of the bay where the vehicle was being kept by police and a Stop and Shop grocery bag. That does not look like an evidence bag, does it? Jackson asked. Not a forensically stable item, certainly not sterile. He also showed a top view of a paper bag with 6 red Solo cups in it, containing what Gallagher confirmed were blood samples from the scene. Jackson also asked if having the bag this close to the SUV is a recipe for cross-contamination. Yes, remember there was DNA found on the taillight. Some DNA that they allege is John O'Keefe's somewhere near the taillight. And coincidentally, what we believe is his blood, but we're really not sure because I don't think the blood was ever tested. Some DNA was found on the back of it, and then there's a picture of it. I mean, it's not even like that hard of a... Encyclopedia Brown could have solved this murder and done a better investigation than the Canton PD and the MSP put together, in my opinion. It's not yes or no, but for your purposes, I would say yes, Gallagher said. He later explained under questioning from the prosecution that the evidence in the photos was being transferred over to state police investigators at the time, and the process was being overseen by a criminologist. And then Canton Police Sergeant Goode testifies. He's a good old boy. You going to the Buffs game today? Go Buffs, KC. Are you sitting on the west side of the stadium because it's going to be sunny and beautiful, and it's a 5 p.m. start in Boulder, and go Buffs. Hope you're on the west side of the stadium because it stays sunny for the longest. Yes, Peter Murphy is here. Awesome. Hi, Peter. Hi, Peter. Peter Murphy's here. And Lemonade says, Peter Murphy, thank you for what you said at the Canton Town meeting. Yes, Bridget, I'm going to cover that. Juror number 1 from the Maya trial has passed away. It's very sad. We're going to do a tribute to him at the end of the show. Donovan says, Go Buffs. Go Buffs. All right, so let's get back to Goode, the good old boy. So according to breaking news from 1 hour ago, Microdots posted, if you're just joining, welcome. And if you're on the replay, and if you're just joining, and if you haven't yet, please remember to hit the like button. It really helps the algorithm. And it is like kind of like wiping your feet on the mat when you come into someone's house. Microdots posted 1 hour ago. Lots of people from Canton are saying that Sergeant Shawn Goode has been suspended with pay for something found in the Proctor text messages. The question is this his ultimate punishment or just his status pending further action? And then Microdots Richie said, the latter would be gooder. Okay. So here, going back to trial number 1, season 1, this is when Goode testified, and this is what he testified about. So let's just, put our thinking caps on and try and think about what could be in the messages between Proctor and Sergeant Goode, or then again, group text messages with Sergeant Goode as one of the recipients. This is so funny. I just got it. That could have led to his possible suspension, which we haven't been able to confirm, but Richie from Microdots has posted it. And, Richie likes receipts, and he does a lot of things that I'll trust him, but we can't confirm it for sure. So, that's what we're being told as of right now. That this is how far behind mainstream media is on their coverage, because I just got a pop-up or a notification from YouTube. And this is what it says. Boston 25 News. Karen Reed's legal team demands Boston Police Commissioner Cox be placed on the Brady list. Okay, we covered that how long ago? Like two days ago, at least. And so this is what Sergeant Goode testified during trial number 1. So we'll put our thinking caps on, and here's what he testified to. Sergeant Goode was the day's second witness all the way back in May 2024. Sergeant Goode was the Canton police sergeant and shift supervisor on the day of O'Keefe's death. He took the stand just before the lunch break around 12:30 p.m. Assistant District Attorney Adam Lally started by asking about police dispatch procedures and the difference between 911 calls. Goode recalled receiving a 911 call from a woman around 5 a.m. asking if they had locked up anyone because the person in question had been out with friends and didn't come home. He didn't know who the caller was at the time, but upon being called to Fairview Road later that morning, he learned that the 911 caller from earlier in the evening was from Kerry Roberts. Yep, it was. We've listened to that 911 call several times. She was kind of laughing about it. She didn't say anything like, oh, his girlfriend called and said she thinks he's dead and got hit by a plow. She didn't say anything like that. She said something about a blizzard party. And then Goode said something like, oh, too bad I wasn't there, but I was here, something like that. Like it almost made it seem like maybe they knew each other, but I don't really know. And Dickless Tracy says, didn't Goode order Kelly Dever to cover dispatch? We'll see. Let's keep reading. The prosecution then played the 911 call from Roberts, who could be heard saying, my friend's boyfriend didn't come home last night. Goode can be heard on the call saying they hadn't locked anybody up. The second 911 call from Jennifer McCabe about an hour later was then played. This call was more frantic. Goode asked if anyone can do CPR, and McCabe could then be heard whispering, I think he's gone. He was the desk sergeant, says Pilola's mom. I think he's gone. An ambulance with a siren could be heard arriving in the background. Samantha Benigno did at least one video that I watched the other day. I couldn't watch the whole thing, but she was once again breaking down Jennifer McCabe's 911 call. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. I highly recommend. Samantha Benigno's channel is called I Don't Belong Here. Go check it out. She goes through it line by line. And at one point, Jennifer McCabe just declined CPR. And I don't remember if she was talking to Goode during that part of the call or if she was talking to someone else. After the lunch break, Goode returned to the stand with Lally playing the sergeant's police cruiser dash cam footage, showing his response to the scene on the day of O'Keefe's death. The footage shows him arriving and Reed and several others at the scene. It was a chaotic scene. People were just walking in and out, Goode said. He said he spoke with McCabe and Reed at the scene. He said the wind was howling so loudly that it was difficult to hear what people were saying. He described Reed as confused, hysterical, in shock, and said she was yelling out, asking if O'Keefe was dead. Goode said he then brought Reed into the back of the police cruiser and asked her if she had driven there, to which she responded, I think so. Being trouble is here, he said. I just seen the headline. Oh, good. And he spelled it the same way Goode does, Goode, pun intended. We love being trouble. Being trouble went to the expense of buying his own Lexus taillight and showing how it would shatter, or if it could shatter, and did some videos on it, doing the Lord's work out there. Here's Peter Murphy. Here's Peter Murphy coming in with all the puns. You guys keep me laughing, and I love you for it. Peter Murphy says, nothing good, Goode, happened on 1/29/22 from 00:30 until the news you are reporting of his suspension. Well, 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 you can never tell. The sunny side of the street is dark. What's that shaking on Shakedown Street? Used to be the heart of town. Don't tell me this town ain't got no heart. You just got to poke around. He went on to describe why Reed was eventually hospitalized under what's known as a Section 12. Her father relayed to police that she was frantic on the phone and wanted to end her life. Goode testified about going into the house to investigate. We have no idea why John O'Keefe is laying on the front lawn of the house. We needed to figure out what happened last night, that night. He had never been in the house, he said. He looked into the dining room while talking to Brian and Nicole Albert. Right. Wasn't it Goode and Lanka, who were the only ones allowed in the house? Because they were waiting for a friendly, and Lank was the friendly because Lank had been inserting himself in Albert family business since at least the 1990s, right? Oh, I remember. It's all coming back to me now. When Gallagher arrived, Goode testified the lieutenant said the scene needed to be sealed off and came up with the idea to use a leaf blower because the snow was falling so fast. Goode said that he shot back to his residence, and he said he shot back to my residence and grabbed my own after 5 or 7 minutes, and that by using it, they revealed blood and shards of a drinking glass. Shot home, shot back, no big whoop, no big whoop. Just grabbed his leaf blower out of his garage, no big whoop. His garage. And then, of course, the only video of the scene is somebody videotaping Gallagher with Goode's leaf blower blowing away the little layers of snow to reveal a couple of drops of blood that nobody ever tested, and they put in solo cups and, pieces of a cocktail glass. And nobody ever went in the house. Well, they did go in the house, but they didn't try and find out if that exact cocktail glass Maybe there was a set of them in the house. That wasn't important to them. No, it sure wasn't. After that, it was the defense's turn to question him, and Yannetti started by establishing several facts: that he went to school with the sister-in-law of one of the Alberts, as well as the sister of Michael Proctor, the lead state police investigator at the scene, and that he's familiar with the Albert family and has been friends with Kevin Albert. Well, yes, he was friends with Kevin Albert because they both worked at Canton PD together. And that is why Canton PD was conflicted out of the investigation so early that morning. And yet, Goode and Lank thought it was appropriate to go inside the Albert house and start questioning the brother of one of his fellow detectives. You just can't make it up, folks. You just can't make it up. And Sergeant Goode, Shawn Goode, I think that's his name, right? Shawn, he went to school with Courtney Proctor? Courtney Proctor, Michael Proctor's sister? The one who relayed to Michael that Julie Albert wanted to buy him a gift when all this was over as a thank you? That one? Did he also, who's the sister-in-law that he went to school with? Was it Julie Albert? I mean, a little incestuous, you know? I mean, we remember because we were there. We've watched it for 2 seasons. We've been through every police report, every document we could get our hands on, every public record, every motion. What do you think Goode was texting Proctor about? I don't know, because remember, Proctor got the call. Proctor got the call because we watched some of his testimony again the other day. Proctor got the call from Buchanan at around 6:48 a.m. Lally asked him, where were you at 8:22 a.m.? He said, oh, I was still home. Had you shoveled out your driveway yet, Proctor? No, not yet. He got to Canton PD. Proctor said he got to Canton PD around 10 a.m. And then, first thing he did after, whatever he did there was go to Jennifer McCabe's house and interview Jennifer and Matt McCabe and Brian Albert at Jennifer McCabe's house. So what kind of texting was going on between Goode and Proctor, maybe before Proctor went over to McCabe's house to do those interviews? Anything? Anyone, Bueller, anyone? I mean, context clues, imagination, use it all. Because if what Microdots is reporting turns out to be true, that Goode has been suspended right now with pay, because Peter Murphy will tell you there's procedures before you can suspend someone without pay, right, Peter? I wonder what they were talking about. Could this be the tip of the iceberg? I say yes. They discussed the fact that Canton police recused themselves from the investigation at some point. Goode said he'd finished his paperwork when he was told, though he noted that given that O'Keefe died, state police would handle the case. His first homicide case, regardless. Oh, so this was Sergeant Shawn Goode's first homicide case. They discussed the fact that Canton police recused themselves. Oh, I just read that paragraph. Moving on to the next one. Yannetti then turned to Brian Higgins, an agent for the U.S. Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, who was reportedly at the Fairview Road home the night before O'Keefe was found dead, and a friend of Brian Albert. Higgins worked out of the Canton Police Department. Goode testified in a unique arrangement. Right, because Higgins was besties with Kenny Berkowitz, may he rest in peace. He's now at the Endless Heaven Buffet, as Kathy would say, from Gossip Rumor and Innuendo. And so Chief Kenny Berkowitz decided that he would give Higgy an office at Canton PD so that he could just work there. While Goode was on duty the night O'Keefe was killed, he saw Higgins enter the police station about 1:30 a.m. Goode testified he didn't know why he was there or where he was coming from, but said it wasn't unusual to see him at 1:30 in the morning on a weekend and wasn't sure how long he was at the station. Well, were there any messages that came up on Proctor's phone that included Goode talking about Higgins being at the Canton PD that night and what he was doing there. Could Higgins have also been a party in those group messages? I mean, Higgins had to be friends with all the guys there, right? He kept his office there. He worked out of that. He worked out of the Canton PD. So he was friends with Kevin Albert. He was friends with Goode. He was friends with Gallagher. They all worked out of the same building. So what kind of messages could there have been on Proctor's phone with Goode, Proctor, either talking about what Higgins was doing there? I mean, so much. I mean, my mind just goes to so many crazy places. Loophole lawyer's been saying it all along that when the real killer is finally arrested, Brian Higgins, you watch the Loophole lawyer. He featured me in a video like last week. It was very funny. It was Melanie's tantrum come to life. Hilarious. I thought it was very funny. All the messages. Dever knew Higgins. What did they say about Dever? Sergeant Goode said he saw Higgins come in at 1:30 a.m. And remember, all of that video didn't surface until trial number 2. And according, if you believe Judge Krupp said in her order that Michael Proctor hid all the video and he put it in a drawer and he never turned it over to anybody. No big whoop. Karen Reed's getting a new trial anyway, so there's no prejudice. So, I'm just going to look the other way. We don't need an evidentiary hearing on that. Why else would they hide that video of Higgins coming back to Canton PD unless there was something nefarious afoot? Why else would they hide it? Think about that. Why would they hide that video? If Brian Higgins was just coming back to, move some cars around and, why did they hide that video? And then why did it suddenly surface before trial number 2? And remember where that hidden video was? Retired Detective Sergeant Paul D.G. Ampietro's hard drive. How involved in this is D.G. Ampietro? Because he kind of was never really mentioned, right? Until trial number 2. And then I think after Goode left, Dever took over, and that's when she started watching the monitors. And that's when she told the FBI that she saw Higgins and Berkowitz go into the Sallyport with Karen Reed's car for a wildly long time. And then after she had her meeting with Cox, and she was told to do the right thing, and she was presented with evidence that she couldn't have possibly been there when Karen Reed's vehicle was there that day, that she must have had a false memory about that, and it wasn't true. I still don't think we have all the video either. I agree with you. Yannetti jumped ahead to Goode's response to the home on Fairview, which they established the officer knew belonged to Brian Albert. He'd been there before for a police report with now Lieutenant Michael Length. Yannetti asked if Goode examined the cellar of the home, a significant unanswered question in the defense's theory of the case, and Goode confirmed he never examined it. I don't know if it was a cellar so much as a basement, but okay, Boston 25. This is Boston 10's article, sorry. He agreed it was a chaotic scene and that Reed appeared to be in distress, screaming by the time he got to the home. He also said he never heard her say, "I hit him." Goode recalled officers scouring on the ground for evidence with the help of the leaf blower and investigators' hands and feet looking for anything while they work. Anything is in quotes. Though when pressed, noted they didn't find pieces of Reed's broken taillight that would later be found at the house or O'Keefe's missing shoe. Goode also said when asked that no police officer guarded the crime scene for the 2 hours they were there and that there was no protocol for putting up a tent to keep the scene from the elements. Yannetti also asked about 2 apparent omissions from Goode's report. Brian Albert's name was the only one not spelled out in the report, and Higgins' address was listed as that of the Canton PD. Wow. You just can't make it up. Did you omit Brian Albert's first name to mask the fact that he was involved? Yannetti asked. No. And this says Albert replied, but it's not Albert. Whoever wrote this article is a moron. Goode was the one on the stand. Did you omit Brian Albert's first name to mask the fact that he was involved? Yannetti said. No, Goode replied. When asked why Higgins' address was given as the 1492 Washington Street, he said, I don't know. That ended up being Higgins' last set of questions for the day. But I'm sorry, that wasn't Higgins' testimony. That was Goode's testimony. So this article sucks, but see, Canton Police Sergeant Shawn Goode testifies. I don't know. And this was all the way back, trial number 1, because I think the only witness they called from Canton PD for trial number 2 was Gallagher. If I'm mistaken, you can correct me. This was May 6th of 2024. And then we go to day 2 of Goode's testimony. Which was the very next day, Tuesday, May 7th, 2024. Oh yeah, here's the video. Maybe we'll play the video for fun. It's like we're taking a walk down memory lane. Because if Goode just got suspended, damn, we're here for it, aren't we? And the dominoes are starting to fall, perhaps, and the house of cards is also starting to collapse. And na, hey, goodbye. Kevin from South Boston is here, and he says, I was just looking for my ointment. Don't ask. Don't ask, don't tell, and just look the other way. The other way. Goode returned to the stand Tuesday after describing his part in the investigation during the proceedings on Monday. He was asked about the station's key swipe system, through which Goode and other officers' entrance and exits to part of the police station are logged. That's right. The key swipe system. He showed 2 versions of a report on the case from different dates, where the major difference was the photo had changed. The one from a later date showed a broken taillight, though Goode didn't see that at the scene himself. He subsequently explained that the document shown was not the actual meat of the report, and that it might change based on supplemental reports filed by investigators. Before the next witness arrived, Judge Beverly Cannoni said she was frustrated about how slowly the trial was moving at times and admonished both the defense and the prosecution amid issues with the format of evidence Reed's team moved to submit, saying, we're taking an awful lot of these jurors' time. We're taking days and weeks. Let's not squander it by repetitive evidence. Let's move this case along. Well, that's interesting. Did she not want to have multiple witnesses perjure themselves by testifying to the same perjurious, perhaps, things? Swissmith says, not going to lie, I have a crush on Peter Murphy. He's a hero. And then Lang testified. So if you're not aware of the 2 different versions of the police reports, what had happened was when Karen Reed was arraigned for the first time on February 2nd of 2022, I think it was Stoughton District Court. Was Stoughton? Dedham District Court? I don't remember now. I'm conflating all of these cases in my head because Massachusetts is now living rent-free in my head. When Karen Reed was first arraigned, David Yannetti was handed a police report of some sort. It wasn't a motor vehicle accident report, though. It was a police report by Canton PD. And it had a photo that did not include broken taillight pieces. And then later on in discovery, I don't remember exactly when, but I'm sure Olivia probably posted about it. they exchanged what purported to be the same police report that they exchanged the first time, except that there were photographs taken by Massachusetts State Police CERT team, maybe, who collected the pieces of the taillight, allegedly, and then those photos were attached to the Canton PD police report. See? But it didn't say supplemental report. It made itself out to be the same report that had already been exchanged, and then they did the old bait and switch. The old shell game. Are you shocked or surprised? Let's take a look at this this old video. What did the investigators find in this hole?
Where are my contacts? Maybe you should keep your eyes on the road, Janice. I have to be able to see first flow, take driving.
Fence. I'll do it. I will suffer through this commercial so that we can watch this old video together with our trip down memory lane. All right. Can I skip it at any point? I don't know. There's Flo. She's from Progressive, and she's trying to sell us something. Let's go.
Well, today, 3 Canton police officers were called to testify as part of the murder trial of Karen Reed. Thanks for joining us, everyone. I'm JC Monahan.
And I'm Colton Bradford. Reed, of course, is accused of killing her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe. Her defense team is saying that she is being framed for all of this. NBC 10's John Maroney joining us live from outside of court in Dedham with a closer look at what was said inside court earlier today. John?
Told him it was only a half day of testimony, but the defense continues to attack the investigation as well as the alleged conspiracy involving Canton police.
Chief Berkowitz brought my attention to a piece of red glass.
This taillight piece was discovered days after the body of John O'Keefe was found in Brian Albert's snowy front yard. Lieutenant Michael Lank showed the jury a broken glass that was located there, too. What did you make of Lieutenant Lank's?
Lank. Okay, this is Lank. Check out this glass. Come on. Wait, hold on.
I think
I can't really zoom in. Wait. But I just want you to look at the base of this glass, because the base of this cocktail glass is so thick that, to me, this would not be a cocktail glass that you would find in a bar. This would be the kind of cocktail glass that you would find in a house as part of a bar set. But you tell me what you think. Look.
I think that it's sort of, broken glass that was located there, too. What did you make of Lieutenant Lank's testimony? I think that it's sort of, consistent with the other witnesses, which means it's inconsistent. Claiming a bias, the defense tried to impeach Lank because of his long relationship with members of the Albert family. Alan Jackson recounted an incident from 2002 when Lank came to the defense of Chris Albert during a fight while off duty. The defense says Canton police have conspired to frame Karen Reed.
Is that an example of you using your position as a police officer to come to the aid of one of the members of the Albert family?
It was me coming to the aid of a citizen who was terrified and scared for him and his family on that night.
Karen Reed is accused of killing and hitting her Boston police officer boyfriend with her SUV. The jury was shown this red taillight piece. The defense says it was planted. Investigators say the warm weather exposed it.
A lot of the snow had melted and a lot of the ground had been revealed.
Now in its second week of testimony, the trial was delayed this morning for a bit of housekeeping, prompting this admonishment from the judge.
Let's not squander it by, repetitive evidence or taking time like this that we shouldn't need to take. Okay, let's move this case along.
The court has ended for the day. We are expecting more law enforcement on the stand tomorrow when testimony resumes. We're live in Dedham. John Maroney, NBC 10 Boston.
The sighs. We developed a sigh emoji for Judge Cannoni because of her loud sighs. She was sighing all the time. You know who never found a piece of taillight? Anybody who lived at the 34 Fairview. And allegedly maybe came in and out of that house and drove by their own house several times a day. Nobody who lived at 34 Fairview ever found a piece of taillight. Do you find that hard to believe? Be in Trouble 31 says if they didn't overdo the evidence by damaging the taillight so much, they might have gotten away with it. I mean, Christine says, no, that's a house glass. Bar glasses are much thicker, so they don't break so easily. Shady Norfolk County DA says, agreed, Melanie, too expensive for bar glass. Did you guys look at the judge every time they showed the evidence? I mean, remember, that was only a half day because, there were so many half days in that trial. It was just, you didn't want to waste the jury's time. How about maybe, just maybe, you have a full day of court one day? How about that? Now I'm going to suffer through another ad so that we can watch the previous days. Or the previous day's coverage from Boston 10.
Get a profit boost every NFL game day. Fan.
One of our top stories now. We are now entering week 2 of testimony. This is in the Karen Reed murder trial. Now, last week we heard from Canton firefighters who responded to that crime scene, but this week it kicked off the Canton police officers taking the stand as well. Now, their testimony, it's all sort of focusing on the initial stages of their investigation into what happened to Reed's boyfriend. We're talking about Boston police officer
Rewind. Try it again.
We are now entering week 2 of testimony. This is in the Karen Reed murder trial. Now, last week we heard from Canton firefighters who responded to that crime scene, but this week it kicked off the Canton police officers taking the stand as well. Now, their testimony, it's all sort of focusing on the initial stages of their investigation into what happened to Reed's boyfriend. We're talking about Boston police officer John O'Keefe. NBC 10's John Maroney joining us live outside of court in Dedham with the latest on the case. John?
The jury is getting its first look at the investigation. Prosecutors say it will prove that Karen Reed is guilty. The defense says not so fast. A frantic 911 call after John O'Keefe's body was discovered in the snow. Karen Reed is heard screaming in the background.
She was yelling out, "Is he dead?"
And is that something she said once, more than once, or something?
Numerous times.
Sergeant Shawn Goode is one of the first officers to see Brian and Nicole Albert, owners of the home where the Boston police officer was found in a blizzard 2 years ago.
They seemed like they were generally in shock that there was a
objection.
Sustain. Next question, please.
Reed is accused of hitting and killing O'Keefe with her SUV, leaving him to die. She says she's not guilty and claims law enforcement conspired to frame her. Canton police say they used a leaf blower to process the snowy scene, finding...
There it is. There's a leaf blower. If you're not driving an 18-wheeler or any vehicle, and you have the ability to come and look at your screen, and you may not have seen this yet, come and look at this. Come and look at your screen. Also, if you're on scaffolding, don't do it. I can't be responsible for any workplace accidents that don't involve safety equipment.
A broken glass and blood. The jury was shown 6 plastic cups containing snow and blood samples, raising defense questions about contamination because they were kept in a stop-and-shop bag. There's video of Reed's SUV inside the Canton PD with an officer working on the damaged taillight, the defense suggesting it was tampered with as well.
During the removal process, that light was broken even more.
No.
I wouldn't consider her to be...
Oh, Katie McLaughlin. Gallagher, look at Gallagher. Remember what he looked like in trial number 2? He had such a good tan. He had a golfer's tan, like he was living in Florida or something because he had retired. And look at how different he looks in trial number 1. He's definitely not as tan. There he is. There's Gallagher, Paul Gallagher.
Broken even more.
No.
I wouldn't consider her to be a close friend.
Firefighter Katie McLaughlin testified Friday she was an acquaintance of Caitlin Albert, the daughter of the homeowners, not a friend. Judge Krupp prevented the jury from seeing older pictures of the girls together, but the defense says it was given a bunch of new photographs of the women, including one from 2021.
It's very clear to us that Katie McLaughlin perjured herself.
Now testimony has ended for the day. We are expecting more police officers on the stand tomorrow. Coming up at 6, my colleague Kirsten Glavin will be here with the latest on what happened in court, as well as developments in this case. Well, live in Dedham, John Maroney, NBC 10 Boss.
Wow, what a blast from the past, huh? The fact that that was, it was 2 years ago is wild to me. It's wild to me. Shannon with 2 N's. Motion to see all the mini cupcakes costumes. What do you mean? Viewers who have babies who they dress up like cupcakes, or my kids? I don't dox my kids. My kids have been doxed by the trolls, so I don't show pictures of my kids. But thank you, Shannon, for your super chat. Kelly, Applegate, how did I miss the cupcake signal? Happy to see everyone. No, I just went live. Because that was when I was able to shoehorn it in. So what I do is I just set it, and then it says Melanie Little's going live. Maybe you get it, and then I give everyone a couple minutes to get in, and then we just get going. And then we got a good crowd here for a Saturday afternoon. You guys are watching me on one device and college football, hopefully on another one. Thank you for your 20, Kelly Applegate, and for being here. Betsy says, thank God you're on today. Thank you, Betsy, for your 20. Sometimes it's just a surprise. So you want your notifications on, I'm living on the edge. I'm living on the edge. I'm spontaneous like that. I'm spontaneous. I literally almost got on a plane last night to Denver to go to the game today. But what had happened was there was a ground stop at all New York airports last night. JFK and LaGuardia had a ground stop at about 3:30. And there was a 7:30. There was a 7 p.m. flight. And I was like, I could just go to the airport and get on a flight. And there's plenty of seats on Delta at that time. And then I was like, but there's a ground stop. What if I never get out? And then what had happened was I just didn't do it. But I'm spontaneous like that. I love spontaneity. Howard Canton, Adam Lally's resignation is here. And no, that is not a fact. That is just a hope for this user who changed her name back to Adam Lally's resignation. So don't get it confused. Thanks for hanging out with me for 7 months. And she says, how would Canton PD get their hands on Proctor's phone extraction? Well, you know who got it was the commission. And also the DA's office in their papers said, Greg Connor signed off on it, that based on what he was finding in Proctor's phone investigation, in Proctor's phone extraction, they would be turning over the information to some independent law enforcement agencies. I submit to you that Canton PD is one of those independent law enforcement agencies. Just a guess. I'm just guessing. I'm spitballing with you over here. I have no inside information about anything, but that's what that's what I'm thinking. Leave the drama at the door says stuck in Google password change heck for 3 days. Oh, I'm sorry, but thank you for gifting a membership. Leave the drama at the door. I appreciate you. And to whoever was randomly gifted by YouTube, you can thank Leave the Drama at the door. Kay Wills is here. She's a realtor south of Boston. If you need to get out of there, that would be. Might be smart at this point. Kay Willis says, I think Higgins was there to get the portable stretcher that was in the bag he took out of the medical truck. Interesting. Peter Murphy says, Melanie, my opinion is the feds will come in hot and blend a Halloween trick-or-treat, Thanksgiving, and Christmas all into one-stop shopping. Picture 24 blacked out Fed vans. You remember when they arrested Matthew Farwell and they did that whole thing with all the cars and stuff? I mean, it could happen. It could happen, right? Thank you, Kay Willis, for your super chat. Ava's mom says they never expected Karen to have great lawyers. Another important point. Thanks for your super chat. Gigi is here. And she gifted another 5 memberships. So welcome to all the new members. We have special emojis. Most of them we created for this trial specifically, including the leaf blower. Just one of the perks you get being a cupcake. We Are Outraged is another of my favorites. And wait for us. Wait for us. And the handcuffs. We got the handcuffs too. We got the handcuffs too, Scott, and we're not afraid to use them. And Gigi's name used to be something like New Silver Bracelets. Thank you, Gigi, for gifting 5. And Gigi's back again. It says, time to warm up my ice cream truck. Thank you, Gigi. For your super chats. Shine on, you crazy diamond. Yes. Yes, I did see that article, and I'm going to thank you for your super chat now, but I'm going to keep it starred behind backstage because I'm going to pull up the article and we're going to read it. So hang on. Thanks for reminding me because it's on my agenda. It's about Kelsey Fitzsimmons. Matching bracelets are always a good gift. And Gigi also says, we need an ice cream truck emoji. Music to my ears. Well, somebody sent me this. And if you weren't here for that, I'm going to pull it up again because it's too good not to share. Apparently, in Las Vegas, this is really a thing. It's really a thing. Come look at your screen if you can, but only if it's safe to do so. This is out of Las Vegas. It looks like a police paddy wagon, and it says Las Vegas Ice Cream Patrol, Unit 702. I don't know. Carol says, do you think Vegas PD did that after the? I don't know. I'm confused if it's really like an ice cream truck, and they just did that like Las Vegas Ice Cream Patrol as like a gimmick, and it's really like the ice cream man. I don't really know if it's affiliated with Las Vegas PD. Because it says Las Vegas Ice Cream Patrol, and then it just says Ice Cream Patrol. Like this could just be like an ice cream company that decided to do this, but I'm not really quite sure. And then it says like down here, it says to something and delight. I can't read it because it's blurry. It's got a phone number. It's got a slow down sign. And then on the back, it says warning, precaution, children crossing Las Vegas, something, Las Vegas Ice Cream Patrol. Real ice cream, cops for kids in the community. It's real ice cream. But I'm here for it. So there you go, Gigi. I'm here to help. Amanda says, smash the like button for Melanie. Such a nice surprise. Thanks for breaking it. The chips are falling. When the walls come crumbling down, you know? When the walls come crumbling down. Thank you, Amanda, for your super chat. Jeannie says, dreams do come true. Let the feds descend. Thanks, Jeannie. James says, just a thank you. Thank you for your 10. Thank you for your 10, James. James is always here. He's very generous. He's amazing. You make it up, folks. You can't make it up. We're getting an extra hour tonight, you guys. I'm excited. So that's it. That's the breaking news. I don't know if there's been any more breaking since then, but I'm sure it'll end up in my inbox if it does. And if you're just joining, here's what it was that we started off the hour with. Microdots tweet from maybe 2 hours ago. Lots of people from Canton are saying that Sergeant Shawn Goode has been suspended with pay for something found in the Proctor text messages. The question is this his ultimate punishment or just his status pending further action? The latter would be gooder. Well, awfully interesting. Well, I'm sure that you do remember the antique police cruiser that was in the Sallyport when the inverted Sallyport video was shown. And we first found out about that during trial number 1. Well, it turns out if you want to, you can be the owner of that antique police car because the Canton PD is actually auctioning it off. In other news that you just can't possibly make up, I'll show you. You too could own it. This was posted on YouTube, I think yesterday or last night.
The Karen Reed trial.
I got to boost it a little bit.
If you watch the
There's
Karen
Emily.
Reed trial, like millions of others.
Hold on.
If you watch the Karen Reed trial, like millions of others, you might recognize this vehicle. It's a 1965 Ford Galaxy police.
Hold on. I have to take this down because I need to boost the volume for you because I can barely hear it. So if I can barely hear it, then you can barely hear it.
If you watch the Karen Reed trial, like millions of others,
It's something with the shorts. The shorts does not. The shorts don't play well when you try and like restream the shorts.
Canton PD fleet.
Why can't I boost the volume on this?
If you watch the Karen Reed trial, like millions of others, you might recognize this vehicle. It's a 1965 Ford Galaxy police cruiser, part of the Canton PD fleet. This car was in the Sallyport when they brought in Karen.
Stop. For some reason, I can't boost it for you, but so we're just going to have to deal for a second.
If you watch the Karen Reed trial, like millions of others, you might recognize this vehicle. It's a 1965 Ford Galaxy police cruiser, part of the Canton PD fleet. This car was in the Sallyport when they brought in Karen Reed's SUV, and now it's for sale in a public auction. But its cameo appearance in that trial could make it a collectible. We talked to a car expert who said the car's worth maybe about $8,000, but it could be worth thousands more because it's associated with a major news event. Just how high that price will go is anybody's guess. It just depends on if the bidder is passionate about the trial and what dollar figure they will associate with that passion.
The reason that we knew that the video was inverted because so many of you noticed that police was backwards on the front of that car.
In the meantime, the car has 60,000 miles on the odometer. The gas tank's in pretty bad shape, but here's the thing. It starts, it runs, and the winning bidder can just drive it off the police lot. If you watch the Karen Reed trial, like
Here's the auction page. So it's really true. Canton PD is actually auctioning this thing off. Let's take a look at the photos because if you want to buy it, you can buy it. The current highest bid is $9,700. It's a 1965 Ford Galaxy. And let's scroll through the pictures because, you just can't make it up. You know who should buy it is there a Hard Rock Cafe in Boston? Like, that's who should be buying this. There it is. I mean, it runs 58,000 miles. Courage, professionalism, and dedication. And I guess it's a piece of history. There's only 15 days and 20 hours left on this auction if anybody wants it. Yeah, they're trying to get some money back because they spent so much money on Hank. Well, I think the money goes to the Canton PD. No, they didn't foot the bill for Hank. That was Norfolk County. Any takers? We got any takers? I mean, that's who's probably going to buy it, right? It would be like a Hard Rock Cafe kind of thing, and then they could display it. It's going to be like a corporate purchase. I think somebody from Boston, in Boston, should buy it, that they can display it. But I guess the Canton PD is short of funds. Maybe they need some funds. Ha, I saw that fly by. Sheila P says it runs, which is better than Karen's Lexus. Well done, Sheila. Well done. Songbit Flora says, I hope they can get some body cams with the proceeds from the auction. So if anybody wants to buy it, who knows? Somebody will probably jump in there at the last minute and outbid everyone. People stalk these online auctions, So there's that. Maybe they can buy some body cams. Wouldn't that be nice? I mean, Canton's broke. They got to sell their cars, says Proctor's phone is telling them everything. I mean, Here's an article that broke on Thursday evening after the Brian Walshe Myles King hearing, with some comments from Rosemary Scapicchio on Mass Live. So let's take a look at that, because Proctor's involved in all of this stuff, all of it. Mass Live article, the title of which is "Information on Fired Trooper Proctor's Phone Shows Absolute Bias," attorney says. There he is with his shades. The conduct in the Karen Reed case that led to Michael Proctor's firing from the state police does not appear to be a one-off. Attorney Rosemary Scapicchio, who represents two murder defendants, Myles King and Shawn Johnson, whose cases were investigated by Proctor, said Thursday that information pulled from his personal phone shows he was biased towards the defendants. It's going to be a very difficult conversation to have with my clients, having to listen to this information and understand just how biased the investigation was, Scapicchio said after a hearing on the issue of disclosing information generated by the federal investigation into the Reed case. During his investigation into Reed, Proctor sent derogatory texts about her to his friends and family, including one saying he wished she would kill herself. Those messages were first uncovered by a federal investigation. In the wake of the Reed case, defense attorneys, including Scapicchio, sought access to Proctor's phone to determine whether the behavior in the Reed investigation was isolated. "It's exactly what we thought it was going to be," she said, Scapicchio. "I don't know how you read the information that we have access to and not see inherent bias, absolute bias of the investigators that we're investigating." It is important to point out that Myles King and Shawn Johnson are Black, and therefore there could have been derogatory racial slurs about them contained in Proctor's phone. And if you read between the lines about what Rosemary Scapicchio is saying, that's probably, at the very least, exactly what it shows. A tranche of information from Proctor's personal phone was first disclosed to defense attorneys in cases he investigated last week after the district attorney's office revealed it had found information beneficial to the defendants on the phone. Another disclosure of information is expected on Friday, Scapicchio said. In the Reed case, prosecutors did not call Proctor to testify during her second trial, despite his role as the primary investigator. Scapicchio indicated that she would call the former trooper if the government does not call him as a witness at trial for her clients. That's going to be an interesting trial. We'll have to cover that one too, especially if Proctor is called to the stand. The bigger concern for Scapicchio is whether Proctor's bias extended to others on the case, including his supervisors. "We don't know if the bias begins and ends at Trooper Proctor, or if it seeps out beyond that," she said. "We need to then go back and see who else was investigating, whether or not they were also tainted by what we've learned about Trooper Proctor." Courtesy of Charlie McKenna on Mass Live. And then I also have for you the order that was issued by Judge Krupp in the Brian Walshe case, and that was filed yesterday on Halloween, October 31st, 2025. This is the order that Krupp said he was going to draw up after the hearing that we watched on Thursday. Hold on. Hold, please. No, I want it to be bigger than that. There we go. And this is in the Commonwealth versus Brian Walshe order. In connection with the prosecution of Karen Reed, Commonwealth v. Karen Reed, the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office obtained from the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Massachusetts certain materials, the confidential materials, for review and, if appropriate, production in Reed. Disclosure and use of the confidential materials was subject to a series of strict protective orders issued by the United States District Judge Denise Casper. Under paragraph 11 of the earliest protective orders, February 20 of 2024, April 19th of 2024, and December 2nd of 2024, the confidential materials were to be destroyed or returned to the U.S. Attorney's Office within 30 days of the completion of the Reed case, as therein defined. After the completion of the Reed case, and aware of its obligation to produce exculpatory information to defendants in other cases, many of which involved murder charges, the Norfolk County DA's office sought leave from the U.S. Attorney's Office and the federal court to review the confidential materials and produce those portions of the confidential materials that constituted exculpatory materials in other cases. Thereafter, Judge Casper modified her order to permit the Norfolk County DA's office to review the confidential materials to determine if portions of the confidential materials should be turned over to defendants in other criminal proceedings pending in this court. Footnote 1, here are all of the other proceedings. And there are a lot of them. Commonwealth versus Cornell Bell, that's a 2017 case. Commonwealth versus Robert Bonang, a 2020 case. Commonwealth versus Derek Cardoso, 2022 case. Commonwealth versus Victor Carter, 2023 case. Commonwealth versus Bianca Ciancio, which is one of the cases that's been involved in these Krupp cases. Commonwealth versus Dante Clark. Commonwealth versus Alyssa Delamano, that's from 2020. Commonwealth versus Giovanni De Los Santos, that is one of the cases involved in these hearings as well. So De Los Santos, Ciancio. Commonwealth versus Kenil Diaz Romero, that's a 2022 case. Commonwealth versus Julius Hammond Dacier. Commonwealth versus John Harper, 2024. Commonwealth versus Javion Harris, 2022. Commonwealth versus Shawn Johnson. Shawn Johnson is also represented by Rosemary Scapicchio. And Commonwealth versus Myles King, also Rosemary Scapicchio. So it is those four plus Brian Walshe that have been involved in these hearings. The rest of them, I'm sure some of you are going to do deep dives into, if you haven't already. I have to go to page number 2. Hold, please. Except for that, it continues on the next page for the other cases. So there are more. Commonwealth versus Brandon Owen, 2022 case. Commonwealth versus Samantha Schwartz, 2022. Commonwealth versus Kelly Shaw, and Commonwealth versus Jalen Wallace, 2020. I'm going to take a leap and say these are all cases that Michael Proctor was the lead investigator in. The order called for the destruction or return of the confidential materials, or extended the destruction or return of the confidential materials to October 31st of 2025, which was yesterday. The Norfolk DA's office has now completed that process and has disclosed what it believes it must disclose under its rule-based and constitutional discovery obligations. No defendant has shown me good cause to believe that the confidential materials should not be returned to the U.S. Attorney's Office, other than to maintain a record of the confidential materials actually reviewed by the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office. Remember, Krupp kept kicking the can down the road on these hearings. And Lisa Beatty, the ADA, handling it, kept saying, well, you know, I keep going back to Judge Casper, but I have nothing new to report, nothing new to report, nothing new to report. And then we learned at the hearing before this one that she only actually asked Judge Casper to release certain portions of the materials, not all of them, certain portions that Lisa Beatty herself the ADA deemed to be relevant. And then at the hearing on Thursday, Larry Tipton was the only one arguing against their destruction or return. And then because he didn't submit an affidavit with his papers at 2:15, the judge said, okay, you have 45 minutes, Mr. Tipton, to submit an affidavit in support and give me more information about what it is exactly that's relevant to your case that you don't want destroyed or returned, which is a hard thing to do when you don't really know exactly what the materials are, right? But we learned that some of the materials included Proctor's, well, the ARCA reports. And we never saw the ARCA reports. There could have been portions of the ARCA reports pointing to how bad the police investigation was. And Larry Tipton argued, listen, this stuff could be relevant in my case because it shows a pattern and habit of these guys not conducting thorough investigations and conducting them the wrong way. And Larry Tipton also wanted John O'Keefe's autopsy report drafted by Irene Scorti-Bello because that could be relevant in his case, he said, because of the role of the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner. And perhaps, I hypothesized, I took it a step further, those text messages between Proctor, Buchanan, DeCicco, Kowalski, in which it was revealed that Proctor couldn't get Irene Scorti-Bello to change her manner of death. And then DeCicco responded, rookie move. You should have had me and Jeff do it. Could show a pattern, in my opinion. Krupp goes on to say in his order, this case and others came before me today for hearing. Defendant having had only a short time to review some of the discovery related to Massachusetts State Police Trooper Michael Proctor. Yeah, the 13-year phone dump. Hundreds of thousands of items, thousands of which contained sensitive information, including pictures of intimate body parts of people not participating in the group text messages. So there's that. This case and others came before me today for a hearing, as I just said. At the hearing, Assistant District Attorney Lisa Beatty represented that she had an appointment on October 31st, 2025 to return the confidential materials to the U.S. Attorney's Office in person. After hearing and in response to defendant's motion following a review of materials produced pursuant to a protective order, October 30th, 2025, docket number 271, it is hereby ordered as follows. Number one, the U.S. Attorney's Office shall maintain a complete copy of the confidential materials that the Norfolk County DA's office returns to it pursuant to paragraph 11 of Judge Casper's protective orders as modified by Judge Casper's order dated October 16th of 2025, which we have not seen, nor will we be allowed to see. Judge Casper's federal order. Number two, Assistant District Attorney Lisa Beatty shall provide a copy of this order to the U.S. Attorney's Office at the same time as she returns the confidential materials or promptly thereafter. So ordered. XOXO, Peter B. Krupp, Justice of the Supreme Court, signed on October 30th, which was Thursday right after that hearing, and then filed yesterday, Halloween of 2025. And so Lisa Beatty was tasked with hand delivering that in addition to the materials back to the U.S. Attorney's Office. And I have questions about whether the U.S. Attorney's Office is going to be bound by a superior court order. And I guess that remains to be seen. I don't know if Krupp is getting some pressure from higher up, because listen, the whole reason that the defendants in these cases have been able to obtain Proctor's entire phone dump going all the way back to 2013 with the hundreds of thousands of items is because Judge Krupp allowed it. Judge Krupp allowed it in August of 2025. The first order, which came from Judge Doolin in the Myles King case, because Rosemary Scapicchio wanted it, Doolin said, okay, I'll give you his phone download, but only for the very specific dates between the date of the indictment on Myles King and the date of his arrest. That's it. And then Michael Proctor's attorneys came in front of Judge Krupp, and they made a motion for clarification on what exactly it is that was going to be turned over. And Judge Krupp in August of 2025 said, oh, there's going to be no time limit. I'm going to let them have all of it. And Proctor's attorneys told the judge, well, you're not going to get much. They're not going to get anything, Judge, because listen, here's the thing. Proctor got a new phone in February of 2024, and he disposed of his old phone. And then right about that time, February 2024, Proctor decided to set his phone to the setting where everything like automatically deletes every 30 days. So you're not going to get much. And Krupp said, okay, but whatever, just give it to the district attorney's office. And they did a total phone extraction. And that's why we're here. Judge Krupp allowed it. Judge Krupp is also the judge who pulled the plug on the hearing, the evidentiary hearing in the motion to dismiss on the Myles King case in which Lally was on the stand explaining why. Well, not really explaining why, because at least it was, I don't know, 400 times, explaining why they hadn't turned over search warrants that Proctor drafted 6 years ago in the Myles King case. And then he pulled the plug on that. What do you think about that? Like the chat. Kelly says, thanks for going live with the tea. Couch rotting with Melanie is my favorite thing. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Cal. For your super chat. And Chrissy Mel says, how ironic that the fixer is going to blow the whole episode up. We are all here for it. Thanks, Chrissy Mel 51 for your super chat. Charles Argo is here from South Africa. The good with an E. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Well done. Maybe I'll use that on my thumbnail. Thanks. Thanks for the idea. Lindsay Miller became a new member. Welcome. On top says, AJ or Karen herself shouldn't buy that police cruiser. Innocent on tag. Thank you on top for your super sticker. Kevin from South Boston says, does Attorney Scapicchio represent decorated dudes? I don't know, dude. She's a good lawyer. In case you ever needed one from across the pond. Thanks, Marianne, for your super sticker. And thank you, Gigi, for gifting another 5 memberships. You're amazing. And then look at this. Amy with a Y gifted 10 more. A lot of new members today. So welcome, everyone who is gifted. You're amazing. Thanks, Amy with a Y. Music to My Soul says, what? You've been streaming for an hour while I was catching up on a replay of yours? The irony. Well, hey, do all the things. Oh, well, better late than never. Hi. Hi, Music to My Soul. Hi. I just went live. Just went live because, I had an agenda of things to do. And it was the way that I could shoehorn it into my day because it's a beautiful day here today. And the Buffs are playing at 7 p.m. Eastern. And Top coming in with another super sticker. You're awesome. You're awesome. So I guess Mr. Tipton is going to be tasked with, making his own TUI request or getting another court order to try and get a hold of some of those things that he wants to use in the trial of Brian Walshe. But that case is also being delayed so much because Brian Walshe is now at Bridgewater State Hospital being evaluated for competency. Make sure you have all your notifications set if you're not getting them, and make sure you have them set to all, and make sure that you have them enabled on your phone, because that could be one reason that you're not getting them. Because if you don't have them enabled on your phone and you watch on your phone, then maybe that's why. You have the app. It depends if you're looking at it through a browser. I don't know, but I don't want you to miss it, Elf. I don't want you to ever miss it. So just make sure all the things are done properly for YouTube purposes. And then that way, you won't ever miss a thing. And if you're on the replay, that's okay too. Just, smash the like button again. Well, you can't more than once, but, smash it also if you're on the replay, because it is the kind thing to do. Switching topics now to Kelsey Fitzsimmons, because we're still in Massachusetts. This is an article that was published in the Massachusetts Lawyers Weekly by an attorney. I think she's an attorney by the name of Gail Sullivan. And it is entitled "The Unjust, Unnecessary Incarceration of Officer Fitzsimmons." And this was just published today. We've got it all. We've got all the breaking stuff. Welcome, Phyllis. Thanks for becoming a member. Happy November Saturday. Thanks, Brian. Let's take a look. This is an opinion piece in Massachusetts Lawyer Weekly, published today. The unnecessary, unjust incarceration of Officer Fitzsimmons. The right of North Andover police officer Kelsey Fitzsimmons to be free, on bail or otherwise, is the paradigmatic fundamental right of a citizen of the United States. The 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution and Articles 1, 10, and 12 of the Massachusetts Declaration of Rights establish a fundamental right to liberty and freedom from physical restraint that cannot be curtailed without due process of law. When a court limits an individual's fundamental right to freedom in furtherance of a compelling government interest, it must utilize the least restrictive means available to do so. I've been screaming this into the ether for how long now? Hold on. Yes, Elizabeth, it's good and plenty. Well done. Fitzsimmons has had a lot to deal with during the past year. She stood before the Essex Superior Court in September, indicted by a grand jury. In February, she gave birth to a child. A short time later, she was diagnosed with postpartum depression. In June, she was shot in the chest by another police officer. The gunshot that miraculously did not kill her required that she be med-flighted to Massachusetts General, where she spent about 60 days undergoing numerous surgeries. At a recent pretrial hearing in Superior Court, the trial court motion judge was informed that Fitzsimmons could not blow into a scram device without experiencing excruciating pain. The court had ordered the device to be utilized to monitor Fitzsimmons' use of alcohol. Fitzsimmons' statement to the court that blowing into the device caused her excruciating pain was supported by her probation officer and by the documented fact that her ribs had been broken by a bullet that penetrated her chest. Diligently, attorney Timothy Bradle presented the court with affidavits, reports, and medical notices and a surgeon's letter. Not wishing to cause her pain, the judge revoked the young woman's bail and put her in jail. The scram device, ordered by the trial court, is certainly not the only way to monitor Fitzsimmons' possible use of alcohol. It is but one of a number of methods that can be utilized for that purpose. A registered phlebotomist could be sent to Fitzsimmons' home to test the young officer's blood during appropriate time periods. A nurse could be sent to her home to conduct tests of her urine for the same purpose. Transdermal alcohol sensors of all kinds could be used to transmit the results of Fitzsimmons' alcohol tests to Auckland, New Zealand for about $3 a day. Any one of those methodologies would cost Massachusetts taxpayers far less money than sending the 28-year-old depressed new mother to jail. Praise be. One notes that incarceration of any police officer presents heightened physical danger. The risk of contracting disease is increased in jail, especially for an individual recently released from Mass General's trauma unit. Postpartum depression is a recognized psychiatric condition. Jail time is harmful to anyone's mental health, but especially to a young female suffering postpartum depression. The now old-fashioned words of Louis Brandeis in Mueller versus State of Oregon, a U.S. Supreme Court case from 1908, should be carefully considered. 1908, quote, "That woman's physical structure and the performance of maternal functions place her at a disadvantage in the struggle for substance. In a struggle for subsistence is obvious. This is especially true when the burdens of motherhood are upon her, even when they are not, by abundant testimony of the medical fraternity, continuance for a long time on her feet at work, repeating this from day to day, tends to injurious effects upon the body. And as healthy mothers are essential to vigorous offspring, the physical well-being of woman becomes an object of public interest and care in order to preserve the strength and vigor of the race." It should be noted that Justice Brandeis, a moral man, meant the human race, not any particular race. In 2014, Governor Deval L. Patrick signed an anti-shackling legislation abolishing the harmful and brutal practice of restraining incarcerated women who are pregnant, in labor, or in the postpartum period with handcuffs, leg irons, and waist chains. Patrick was quoted as stating that he was astounded to have to do so at that point in history. One notes the fact that the trial court motion judge would not order a GPS monitor be taken off Fitzsimmons' leg for a scheduled surgery. It is hoped that Fitzsimmons' conscientious attorney succeeds in his appeal before the full bench of the Supreme Judicial Court. It is hoped that the SJC considers the moral guidance provided by Justice Brandeis and former Governor Patrick. The author of this opinion piece from Massachusetts Lawyers Weekly is Gail Sullivan, who has been a practicing attorney in Massachusetts since 1977. I wonder if any organizations will come in and file some amicus curiae briefs about this, because this is a crazy issue. And it's a hot button issue, and we are outraged by it. You would think that some other organizations that have an interest in, I don't know, postpartum and other things might be so inclined to file an amicus curiae brief. I'd be interested to hear about it if they did. Thank you on top for another super sticker. And Kelly, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. You're awesome. And Vexatious Parrot says, California, USA, remember to turn your clocks back tonight. Thank you. Luckily, my phone does it for me. Otherwise, I would forget. Thanks for being here for 23 months. You're an OG. OG. Thank you. Love you with all of my heart. Elf gifted a membership too. Thank you, Elf. You're awesome. You guys all rock. We have the best mods and the best chat on this Saturday, I would venture to guess. You guys are called the Snark Tank for a reason, and you keep me laughing, because if we don't laugh, we're going to cry. Gigi's here again and says, I would be scared to buy that car. No telling what's in the trunk. Oh, man, Gigi. Thanks for your 5. And Mrs. Parks is here. Hi, Mrs. Parks. She says, don't forget to hit the like button for a surprise Saturday afternoon live from AML. Thank you. You're awesome. We love you, Mrs. Parks. We love you. A lot of new members today who were gifted by the kind. You're so kind and generous. So kind and generous, as Natalie Merchant used to say. The next thing that I have for you, unless you have any further comments, thoughts, questions, comments, concerns on what we've already discussed and all the topics we've already talked about, because we need to go back to Arkansas. We need to go back to Arkansas because one of you amazing viewers brought to my attention a story out of Lonoke County, Arkansas, that is going to outrage you even more and may also bode very well for Aaron Spencer running for sheriff. Because Barbara Elmore, the judge in Aaron Spencer, has done something so outrageous that you will be outraged. It's horrifying. And I need to tell you about it. Just trying to figure out my order of things here. If you guys didn't hear about it, try not to spoil it for those who haven't heard about it yet. If you did hear about it, but hang on, hang tight a second. So Lonoke County, Arkansas, that is the county in which Aaron Spencer is awaiting trial on murder charges for killing Michael Fossler, a 67-year-old man who not only raped Aaron Spencer's daughter, who was a minor at the time, around 13 or 14, was facing something like 43 felony charges related to the SA of Aaron Spencer's daughter. And it was all very secretive because the file was sealed up. Judge Barbara Elmore, the Lonoke County judge, released Michael Fossler on $5,000 cash. Michael Fossler had been years prior a police chief in a town called Hamlet, Indiana, many, many, many years before. And I think he was arrested on these charges in something like July of 2024. One night in October of 2024, Aaron Spencer and his wife awoke to the sound of their daughter's dog barking. And the wife said, can you go check on her? Because maybe she's sick or something. Why would the dog be barking? Aaron Spencer goes into his daughter's room. She's missing. Oh, in addition to the $5,000 cash that Michael Fossler posted for bail, there was a stay away order. So he wasn't allowed to contact her, the minor. She's missing from her bedroom. This is October 2024. They call 911 and they tell dispatch or whoever they call, we have a stay away order from this guy who's facing 43 felony charges against our daughter. His trial's coming up in December. She's the only witness, and we think he might have something to do with this. I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. And then Aaron Spencer does what any other father would do. He jumps in his truck and goes out to look to see if he can find his daughter. And by the grace of God, Aaron Spencer sees Michael Fossler driving his truck, turning onto Spencer's road with Spencer's daughter in the passenger seat. He chases them down. He runs the guy off the road. He tries to get his daughter back. Fossler's trying to grab his daughter. What happens next is a lot of conflicting stories. But suffice to say that Aaron Spencer did what any good father might do and pumped Michael Fossler full of lead. I'm just saying. Aaron Spencer then calls 911 and says, hey, remember that guy I told you about? Yeah, you might want to come check on his condition because here's where he is. I caught him like in the commission of a felony, kidnapping my daughter. And then guess who arraigns Aaron Spencer? Because they charge him, of course, with murder. Judge Barbara Elmore. Can you believe it? The same judge who let Michael Fossler out back into the community to then kidnap the same girl that he had 43 felony charges on is now arraigning Aaron Spencer. Go figure. Crazy, right? And then Aaron Spencer is arrested and charged with felony murder charges. And then what happened was he gets, I don't know, $150,000. He's let out on, I don't know, $150,000 bail. And then 10 days later, Judge Barbara Elmore smacks down a gag order because Aaron Spencer's wife, I guess, got kind of vocal on Facebook, starting a page and stuff, and was like, are you kidding me? Here's the real story about what happened. And then Aaron Spencer has amazing attorneys who then take it all the way up to the Arkansas Supreme Court. And we watched the oral arguments in front of the Arkansas Supreme Court, and Aaron Spencer's attorneys did an amazing job. And they got that gag order overturned, but it was something until the gag order, I don't think was overturned. And correct me, just don't hold me to the dates on this. Maybe like spring of 2025. Nobody could talk about it. Not even the sheriff. And the sheriff had done some sort of he had done some PR on it. He had done like an interview or something. He went on TV to talk about this case. And then we started digging into Lonoke County. And then another victim of Michael Fossler came forward. And a TikToker interviewed her. And we played the interview with her. And this other victim said that she was abused by Michael Fossler when he was chief of police in Hamlet, Indiana, all the way back in Hamlet, Indiana, when she was like a kid who was babysitting for Fossler and his wife. And that her parents couldn't do anything about it because he was in charge of the police. And so her mom reported her as a runaway and sent her to live with her dad in Arkansas. And now she's in her 50s, this woman. And then she said, this other victim, that when she saw Michael Foster's picture in the paper or something, she was horrified to learn that Michael Foster had moved to Arkansas and lived within walking distance of the place where she now lives.
Hello.
Hello. Hello, I'm here.
He saved his daughter's life. You're absolutely right. He saved his daughter's life. How many other victims are there? How many other victims were there? She has since given another interview to Michelle, the TikToker, who has given me permission to play it, which we'll play another day. It's very long. You can't make this up. How many other victims are there? How many other victims were afraid to come forward because he was the chief of police in Hamlet, Indiana? We know how corrupt Indiana is because we watched the Richard Allen trial. We didn't watch it. We couldn't watch it because they kept the cameras out of the courtroom. But some of our friends went there and were in the trial every single day and reported back, like Andrea Burkhart and Bob Mata. So we know how corrupt Indiana is. And now add Arkansas to the list too. So here's what happened. Very recently with Barbara Elmore, Judge Barbara Elmore, because you just can't make it up. There's a guy, 19 years old. He's arrested. His name is WESLEY RICHARD, 19 years old. And in March of 2025, this 19-year-old monster, but innocent until proven guilty, is charged with 1 count of grape. We have to say grape on YouTube. I know it's stupid, but we have to. 1 count of S-type indecency with a child, and 20 counts of electronic facilitation of child SA. March 1 of 2025. I got to put the docket up for you too, because we like receipts, right? We like receipts here. And here's the Arkansas docket. Oh, hi, Cardi. Okay, Cardi, we'll bring you back as soon as we need you, which will probably be soon. Here's the Arkansas docket, and there's a couple of things I want to point out to you. This man's name is WESLEY RICHARD, HENARD. But when you search it up in the Arkansas court system with that spelling, Henard, and then you open up the docket, look at what it says. State versus WESLEY RICHARD. There's a juxtaposition of 2 letters in his name. That's the first thing that I've noticed. There's Judge Elmore again, Lonoke County, Arkansas. There's the charges filed on March 1st. The date of the offense was March 1st. It wasn't filed until later, but that's the date of the offense, March 1st. So he raped a child. Class Y felony. The date of the offense is March 1st, 19 years old. Then we go down to all of these other charges that YouTube is not going to like. Okay. And all of them were from a date of March 1st. And then all of this is, tightly sealed up, tightly sealed. You can't get any of these documents. And Arkansas has a very open records policy. If you go into a lot of other cases, you'll be able to find them. And so what happened was there was an arrest warrant issued in May 19th of 2025 for this WESLEY RICHARD. Then they entered into a pretrial order May 23rd. And then on May 23rd, there's a final disposition of the charges. That's sealed too. We can't get it. Because look, May 23rd, order sealed. Then he gets appointed a public defender. Because what had happened was in October, he's let out on bail. We can't find out how much bail. We don't know how much bail because it's sealed. It says, it doesn't say. It just doesn't say how much bail he got let out on. But what we do know is that he was let out on bail because, hold on, wait for it. The Courier News reported yesterday on Halloween that this 19-year-old man was arrested again for grape. Oh, yes, he was. WESLEY RICHARD, a 19-year-old male from Lonoke County, appeared in bond hearings in Pope County on Monday morning after being arrested by the Dover Marshal's Office for grape. Judge Elmore let him out, and he went and he graped another child in a different county. The Pope County Prosecutor's Office stated RICHARD is currently on pretrial release in Lonoke County for 1 count of grape, 1 count of sexual indecency with a minor, and 20 counts of electronic CSAM. Bond was set at $500,000 cash and with a custodial plan. And here he is. There he is, WESLEY RICHARD. No, I didn't think he would stop. Swiss Miss says Judge Elmore needs to be in prison. There he is. She let him out, and he went back, and he did it again. And you know what? You guys need to start screaming about this. I know I have viewers from Arkansas because a bunch of you emailed me about this, and a bunch of you are following Aaron Spencer with me. They don't stop. How do I know? Because of the work that I did against the Catholic Church, representing 50 or 60 or more victims and survivors of childhood SA. I have more of a knowledge of that than I ever want to know, but the statistics show that the average pedo is not caught until they have offended at least 100 times. Aussie NQ is screaming. Who is this kid connected to? Why are they spelling his name wrong in the court docket? I can't find anything in the docket for Pope County. But here you go. Here's an order from October 29th. State of Arkansas versus WESLEY RICHARD. And this is the parties to the above referenced actions stipulate to the following. 1, and this is in bold font, just paragraph number 1, that upon final disposition of this case, any and all copies of these tapes and any transcripts thereof shall be returned to the Lonoke County Prosecuting Attorney's Office in accordance with ACA 2078-106, that a copy of a videotaped interview of a child witness shall be made available to the defense. There is no doubt that it's a child because they're telling us here that they videotaped the interview of the child, and they had a videotaped interview of a child. And regardless of that, Judge Elmore let this kid out so that he could go grape somebody else in another county. You should be outraged. that no additional copy of the tape or any portion of the tape shall be made by the defendant, the defendant's attorney, investigator, expert, or any other representative or agent of the defendant. That said copy shall not be used for any other purpose than to prepare for the defense in the above referenced actions. That said copy may be viewed only by parties, their counsel, and their counsel's employees, investigators, and experts. That no transcript of said copy, don't give it to anybody. Chuck Graham is the prosecuting attorney, same prosecuting attorney as in the Aaron Spencer case. It doesn't have a judge's signature on it. Has Judge Elmore recused herself? Don't you remember what had happened? Oh, look, so ordered, Judge Elmore. She's on it still. She's on it still. She's the reason that other child was raped in Pope County. I mean, are you kidding? The Supreme Court of Arkansas spanked the judge and said this case should go back in front of a different judge. This judge should not, it was an unconstitutional gag order. And this judge shouldn't even be on this case at all. No, she's not the judge in 2 counties. This order was issued in the Lonoke County case because that interview of the child must be related to the charges going back to March of 2025. And somebody sent this Facebook post to me, and I did a deeper dive after I got a hold of this. It's on a Facebook page of McHenry Group, PLLC. It looks like they're a private investigation firm. And I'll show it to you. This was just posted on October 29th. McHenry Group, PLLC, is feeling pissed off in Lonoke County, Arkansas. Meet WESLEY RICHARD HENARD. Back at the beginning of the year, Lonoke County arrested and charged him for rape, sexual indecency with a child, and 20 counts of electronic facilitation of child abuse. We are looking into what his bond was. We will post that as soon as we know. But he posted it and walked out of Lonoke County Jail. Where is he now? Sitting in the Pope County Jail on a new rape charge. How many kids have to get hurt before someone figures out that letting predators buy their way out of jail isn't justice? A man charged with 20 counts of facilitating child abuse shouldn't be anywhere but behind bars. But here we are, and the community is paying the price. And then they post the receipts. And there he is. Right. And Turtle Boy, thank you for circling back to, some of the things that we cover on the regular basis. Turtle Boy spent 60 days in jail. No one was ever harmed physically. Kelsey Fitzsimmons is in jail. He never harmed anyone physically, but grapers are out free to grape. Welcome to Arkansas. Thank you, May the Force. Full of questions, Barbara says, I'm sorry, but Judge Elmore should never have the ability to have anything to do with an SA offense. Right. And so, as you know, Aaron Spencer is now running for sheriff of Lonoke County. And his trial is scheduled for January. I'll tell you when. Because there's a final pretrial conference scheduled, I think, for December. And then the trial is scheduled for January 26th through the 30th. It's going to be allegedly only a 5-day trial. I mean, we'll see. This, to me, is pretty good ammunition for Aaron Spencer's defense attorneys to get this woman off the case. There's only 2 judges in that building of the courthouse in Lonoke County, as far as I know. How many other victims were there of that guy? For those of you who didn't see the Aaron Spencer for Sheriff video, I will try and find it real quick here and play it for you. It's horrific. The whole thing is horrific. He's got a Facebook page. Aaron Spencer for Lonoke County Sheriff. 16,000 followers. And here's his original, the original campaign video. Wait, where is it? There it is.
My name is Aaron Spencer.
Oops. No.
Hello, Lonoke. My name is Aaron Spencer. Many of you know my story. I'm the father who acted to protect his daughter when the system failed. I'm also a husband, a combat veteran of the 82nd Airborne Division, a contractor, and a farmer. And through my own fight for justice, I have seen firsthand the failures in law enforcement and in our circuit court. And I refuse to stand by while others face these same failures. That's why I'm announcing my candidacy to run for Lonoke County Sheriff. This campaign isn't about me. It's about every parent, every neighbor, every family who deserves to feel safe in their homes and safe in their community. It's about restoring trust, where neighbors know law enforcement is on their side and families know that they will not be left alone in a moment of need. Together, we can build a safer, stronger Lonoke County for every family. I'm Aaron Spencer, and I'm running for Sheriff of Lonoke County. Hello, Lonoke.
There you go. I love him. I love him too. His family's been through hell and back, and you know what he's doing? He's running for sheriff now because he doesn't want anybody else to have to go through it. And I can't wait to see if he speaks out about this new case that we're just learning about today. And if you want to, you can support him. And he's got a fund. You just go to the Facebook page.
Many of you know my story.
Aaron Spencer for Lonoke County Sheriff, and he's fundraising for his campaign.
I'm the father who acted.
And
hello, Lonoke.
I love it. Making the changes. Thanks on top for another super sticker. And on top says Sheriff Spencer has a great ring to it. He gets my vote. Bless him and his family. Are you in Arkansas? Are you in Lonoke County? Thank you, Pam, for your 10. I'm so glad to see you today as well. And thank you, Link 2019, for your super sticker. Vexatious Parrot says people need to start showing up in court galleries. Yeah. Yeah, they do. Because I doubt they'll have cameras in the courtroom for Aaron Spencer's trial. Do you think they will? I don't know. Aaron rescued that dog from a highway and kept him, says Maggie in Florida. Free Kelsey, free turtle. That dog just might have saved his daughter's life. Thanks, Tina, for becoming a member. Thanks, GV. Motion to address the judge, your horror. Oh, motion granted. Motion granted, GV. Thanks for being here for 13 months. Hi, Dina. Thanks so much for your 10. Or for your 5. Says December 5th, please show up at the courthouse in Dedham. We need everyone. It's going to be for the argument of the mega motion. Thanks, Tina, for reminding everybody to show up and support Aiden Carney, who is facing, I don't know, 90 years in jail right now for doing journalism and stuff. Kat Randall says it's not difficult. It's not difficult to show up for most courts. Follow the rules and just let them know you're an observer. That's true. That is true. Thoughts, questions, comments, concerns before we pivot to our next topic, which is the sad and untimely passing of juror number 1 from the Maya Kowalski case. Heartbreaking. Yeah. You may recall that I told you last week that Dr. Joe Corcoran had advised several of us who were covering the Maya Kowalski case, because we're all on a group text message thread together, that, and I told you guys right away, that Paul, juror number 1, and this was back on October 7th, Dr. Joe told us that Dr. Goodhair, remember Dr. Goodhair from the Maya trial? I'm not sure if you've heard or not, but juror number 1 from the Maya trial had a massive heart attack last week. So this was October 7th, and I passed along that to you, and we all prayed for him. He needed to have open heart surgery, and he's been dealing with a series of significant complications. He was in the hospital for more than a week, and he's about to get transferred for the 3rd time. I'm now helping his wife, Yoli, remember Yoli, hippo lover, to navigate him to get the best care. Please ask your audience to keep him and hippo lover in your prayers. Thanks. And you guys did. And then on October 13th, Dr. Joe wrote to all of us again and said, hello, friends. Thank you for keeping your audience informed about juror number 1. He said, Melanie, I've gotten emails from some of your folks offering their support for Yoli and Paul. You guys are amazing. Paul remains in the ICU after developing additional complications. Hippo Lover has now requested that he be transferred to the Tampa General Hospital, the region's highest regarded facility, which is also the primary teaching hospital for USF Health and Medical School, which can provide more comprehensive care versus the community hospital he's currently in. And then this morning, one of you sent me a post from juror number 1, Paul's wife, that also was on Facebook. And she posted, it is with tremendous heartache that I have to let you all know that Paul passed away at 2:52 a.m. in my arms today. And then she posted a song. She says, this song has been my strength throughout this harrowing ordeal. Prayers for his family and friends. And after I had received this from one of you amazing viewers, Dr. Joe then came back into the thread and said, hello, friends. FYI from juror number one's wife. From juror number 1's wife. Paul passed away at 2:52 a.m. in my arms peacefully. Tampa General did a wonderful job of treating all his complications, but he had nothing left in the tank after 37 days in the hospital. He and Yoli had many tender moments in the last 2 weeks, and near the end, he let her know that he was in pain, tired, and ready to go home. They're a very loving couple. We should all be so blessed to have an advocate partner like Hippo Lover was for her hippo. And so in honor of Paul, I'm going to take you all back to January 3rd of 2024, when Paul was called to testify in front of Judge Hunter Carroll and the world, because defendant JHACH made a motion to dismiss the case for juror misconduct, and they were alleging juror misconduct on behalf of juror number 1, Paul. And he came in to testify, and his outfits were amazing. And so prayers up for Yoli, Hippo Lover. And let's watch Paul's testimony from all the way back then and say a prayer. And this was in the Maya Kowalski case after the $260 million verdict.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. Any questions about what we're going to do, or are we ready to bring in juror number 1?
None on behalf of plaintiff.
On behalf of defense.
Lieutenant, if you can go grab juror number 1, please.
Hold on, I just need to boost this a second for you. Oops. Let me know if it's too loud. There he is. There's Paul. Juror number 1 in the Maya Kowalski versus JHACH trial.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be
Today, I understand.
How's the volume? Is the volume okay? Good.
I would assume you understand why we're here today.
Yes, I do.
Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump right in. Right in front of you, I've got a couple of sheets of paper. The first one that I put on where it says court exhibit number 1, I just want to confirm that is in fact the questionnaire that you filled out. I think you were on day 1, so it would have been September 14th of 2023.
Yes, Your Honor, it appears so, yes.
And then the second sheet of paper behind it is a docket sheet, and I'll tell you, I just printed it out a few days ago off of the Broward County Circuit's website, so it's whatever was publicly available, involving a 2002, so more than 20 years ago, a 2002 filing by what appears to be your then wife. Is that Aileen?
Yes, correct.
Now, I mean, I've sat in the family law division, so I know how to read this docket sheet. What it looks like is your then wife filed, because it looks like you probably had minor children between the two of you, a UCCJEA affidavit was filed, and there were some allegations. You were served with the petition, and then she never showed up for the hearing. That's what I read off of this.
That is correct.
Now, here's where I'm going to go with my questions. There seems to have been some sort of reference to child allegations involving this petition. So was there any sort of involvement by DCF more than 20 years ago in this case? When I say this case, the 2002 case.
No, there was not.
And at the time in 2002, did you have, how many minor children did you have?
2002?
2002.
That would have been 3.
Were any of your children sheltered by DCF or whatever the entity was called at the time?
None, no.
There was on the questionnaire whether you had any strong opinions about DCF. So do you have, and as you, let me go back. On September 14th, 2023, did you have any opinions, strongly held opinions about DCF?
No, I did not.
How about the government's ability to remove children from the care of their parents?
No opinion at all.
I'm going to switch gears on you, sir, and go to another topic. There was an allegation in the defendant's motion that somehow your current wife either was represented by an attorney by the name of Deborah Salisbury or was involved in a case that included Deborah Salisbury. My question to you is this. Back on September 14th, 2023, did you know who Deborah Salisbury was?
No, I did not.
When did you first learn, if at all, when or who Deborah Salisbury is?
When something was filed by the defense attorneys.
Has attorney Deborah Salisbury ever represented you?
Never.
And to the best of your knowledge, has attorney Deborah Salisbury ever represented your current wife?
No, she has not.
And when I say your current wife, when did you all get married? Not to put you on the spot.
That's, I had it on the tattoo of a hippo on my arm, but it's covered.
He had a tattoo of a hippo on his arm.
2016.
And that's why his wife's name on all of the chats was Hippo Lover.
Okay.
Or he had that for her because she loved hippos.
Have you ever been in any sort of proceeding where Deborah Salisbury was around, to your knowledge?
Never.
I'm going to change gears on you and go to another topic, sir. The court gave repeated instructions during the trial not to have any conversation about the case, don't learn any information. In fact, I think on the very first day, I told the assembled group that you couldn't even talk to your spouse or partner about the case, and if they asked, that you were to say that Judge Carroll's a meanie and doesn't allow me to talk about this case. Were you able to follow that instruction throughout the entirety of the case until the time that you were discharged as a juror?
Yes, I was.
At any time until the time that you were discharged, right the day before Veterans Day or whatever day that was when we discharged you, at any time before that date, did you speak with anyone that would include your wife concerning anything having to do with this case?
No, I did not.
Now, the motion indicates that a person who appears to be your wife, and I'm assuming it is your wife, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Was following the trial on various social media platforms and on one day came to court. Okay. Are you able to tell me for sure that your wife or no one else, no one gave you any information about this case at all?
Yes, correct, Your Honor. No one, and I did not seek out any information on this case.
Now, slightly different, did you obtain?
They really put him and his family through the ringer on this. Everyone knew who he was after this. The defense team for JHACH was like pulling their legal theories off of Reddit. It was wild. I've never seen anything like it. That before or after?
Any information about this case from any source outside of the courtroom at any time before you were discharged as a juror?
No, I did not, Your Honor.
Let me ask you directly. There was an allegation that you may have gone online and looked at Dr. Kirkpatrick's website. Did you do that?
No, I did not, Your Honor.
Did you ever observe Dr. Kirkpatrick's website, even if you did not type out the information to drive the computer to his website?
No, I did not, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, sir, what I'm going to ask you to do is to go back and sit where you were. I'm going to talk with the lawyers outside of your presence, and we might have some more questions for you in a few minutes, okay?
Outfit on point. he was dressed like that every day of the trial. Somebody said I couldn't wait to hear Jules was in court every day, and Jules was calling every day. She would update juror number one's outfits, and it was awesome. And here's just a little news piece about, this is from Tampa Local News, Fox 13, what happened that day in court, just a little wrap up of it.
Maya Kowalski's case took years to get to court.
All right, that's super low. Hang on.
And when it did, the case lasted.
And they did pursue an appeal, and the appeal was just decided a couple of days ago, and the entire trial, the entire verdict was overturned. Many causes of action were thrown out. We read it together the other day, and it is going back for a new trial on only some of the counts. And I thought Judge Carroll was very fair and honorable, and rest in peace, Paul. Heaven just got a whole lot more awesome. And prayers up for Yoli. Thank you, Pam, for your 10. I'm so glad to see you too today. Thank you so much. Somebody asked when he passed. He passed about 2 a.m., 2 or 3 a.m., just this morning, Eastern time in Florida. Leave the drama at the door, says, think before you vote. Mayors, governors, et al. Yes. Dina says, we the people have a voice. Together we can make a difference. Free Turtle Boy. Thanks, Dina, for your 10. Appreciate you so. And Gigi's back, and she says, I finally found that love at the great age of 43. Congratulations, Gigi. Wake up every morning and thank God for the man he sent me just for me. Kevin is my soulmate. Also, Praise You in the Storm is an amazing song. You said you needed a song for your vow renewal, right? Is that the one that you picked? Praise You in the Storm? Or is that the one that Yoli picked? I don't remember if you ever told us, Gigi, that you picked a song for your vow renewals, because everyone was putting in suggestions for you. Heidi says, this is so heartbreaking. Prayers for his wife and family. He seemed like such a cool guy. Thanks, Heidi, for being with me for 24 months. You are an OG. OG. Bob says, good probably told Proctor not to go into the house. This is the first domino, and soon we will get all the goods. Dominoes to fall. Thank you, Bob Cromwell. Thoughts, questions, comments, concerns before we wrap. And just a final SCO buffs before the game tonight. They were the sweetest couple, said Jason Smith. Thank you, Jason. You sent me some information on this as well, and I know that you are heartbroken. You can find it on Yoli's Facebook page that I put up earlier. It's all public. So if you go back to that post that I read earlier, just rewind back, you can look at her Facebook page, and all of her posts are public. And she gave a bunch of updates in the recent weeks and stuff. And so you can read about it there. I mean, I don't know I don't think mainstream media would post it, or if it's even if there's even an obituary drafted, but the news came to me from some of you viewers who saw Yoli posted on Facebook, and also from Dr. Joe Corcoran. So we've done a lot today for a last minute off the cuff stream. If you didn't already, please hit the like button. Mika says, I'm concerned about Greg not doing retrial. He was amazing. Well, Greg is no longer on the case. From what I understand, Maya's family fired Greg, and they hired Nick Whitney to represent them. Those lawyers broke up, and then there was some fighting amongst the lawyers, and I didn't cover all of the drama in between with the lawyers, but it's going to be a very expensive case to retry, and so I don't know what's going to happen. But I don't believe Greg is on the case anymore. Thank you for your super chat. And Melissa says he's an amazing man. Let's not forget that. Yeah. He stood up for what he believed was right, and he got in there and he testified and he told the truth, and he didn't do anything wrong. And this was the beginning of, maybe the floodgates opening of judges calling jurors back in. Yeah, absolutely takes a minute or two to write obits. You're 100% right. People were saying they couldn't find anything. I know. Thank you, GP Dog Joel. But you can find it on her Facebook page. And so at least there's that. Thank you, everybody, for coming to hang out with me today. Thank you to the moderators for keeping the chat classy, as we always try and do anyway. And stay away from the rumors and the drama and the speculation and all of that stuff. So, just like do all the good things out there. Do good things. Be nice to people. Stay cool, stay kind, stay classy. You can do it. I know you can do it because you guys are awesome. All right. I'm going to see you real soon. Make sure your notifications are set. Make sure you're still subscribed. And go out there and just like be a good person. Love you all with all of my heart. Peace.